Hi, it's the middle of the week here on TNT. Great to have you with us, and if you haven't already subscribed, I'd like to invite you just to click on that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. We're not going to send you any emails. Now, we've got a bit of a potpourri today, all sorts of various stories, including the declaration that there is no Russian mafia on Phuket, as was declared in a few international media stories last week. But we'll kick off with this one. And the headline from thestar.com.my, Malaysians lead the way with almost 3 million visitors as Thailand sees 18.5 million foreign tourists so far this year. The State Planning Agency, that's the Ministry of Tourism and Sports, predicts 28 million foreign arrivals this year. Arrivals are expected to further rise in a big way during the holiday season of November and December. The latest figures from the Tourism and Sports Ministry shows data from January the 1st to September the 3rd. And the top 5 countries with the highest number of arrivals are Malaysians, Chinese, South Koreans, Indians and Russians. So as we've noted in the past, a lot of these Malaysian tourists are people just popping across the border for some day trading along the Thai-Malaysian border. They might spend a day down south. They might even spend a weekend in a place like Hat Yai in Songkhla. Some are flying to Bangkok and Chiang Mai as well. But the Tourism and Sports Ministry seems to want to keep counting a lot of these day traders. Of course, it's very difficult to understand exactly who is who. But Malaysians leading the way when it comes to foreigners visiting Thailand for one reason or another. And down the bottom there it says last week alone saw some 505,000 foreign arrivals, which translates to an average of 72,000 visitors each day. And I note down the bottom there, back in 2019, the average arrivals per day was 108,000 arrivals of foreign tourists per day. So we're still around about, some 70% of those tourist numbers back in 2019. And the ministry, however, expects the number of foreign arrivals to start dropping from next week because it's not peak travel season in many countries, plus fluctuations in fuel costs affecting the aviation industry and the Russia-Ukraine conflict influencing foreign exchange rates are also expected to hurt the travel industry. So let's check that Russian exchange rate, and we go to xe.com. So we can see last year in September it was peaking, and it was peaking at some 0.658 to a Thai baht. Now it's wallowing around 0.346 ruble to a Thai baht. So quite a dramatic drop, and the trend is certainly down. And that will be affecting the power of the Russian ruble and their opportunity to spend money or even get to Thailand in the first place. Going to another story now, and the patianews.com says funeral held for murdered Thai highway policeman. And this sad story heading off in all sorts of directions. We'll cover some of those in just a moment. But the family, relatives and colleagues from the Thai police force gathered yesterday in Bangkok's Bang Khen district to hold a funeral for the late highway police officer, Police Major Sivakorn, who was shot dead by a gunman after refusing to comply with an illicit career promotion requested by a village official. And the policeman was allegedly murdered by the right-hand man of an influential sub-district headman in Nakhon Pathom province, Mr. Praween Chankhlai, after he refused to fast-track Praween's relative to a higher position in his division instead of following proper promotion procedures. And notably, presiding over the funeral was the Police General Torsak, the Deputy Police Chief of the Royal Thai Police, and probably a hot tip to become the next Chief of Thai Police. He assured that officers present at the crime scene where Police Major Sivakorn was fatally shot would face consequences, and Police General Surachat Hakpan, the Deputy National Police Chief, is working on the investigation. Well, speaking of those investigations, let's go to thebangkokpost.com. DSI probes 2 Kamnan Nox companies for bid rigging. The Department of Special Investigations is summoning representatives from 65 companies for questioning after learning they may have been involved in bid rigging with the construction business owned by Praween Chankhlai, also known as Kamnan Nok. Mr. Praween was arrested in Nakhon Pathom after Police Major Sivakorn, an officer of the Highway Police Division 2, was slain by a gunman during a dinner party at his house last Wednesday. The gunman, who was Mr. Praween's close aide, was identified as Nong Tapa, and he died in an extrajudicial killing. However, Mr. Praween has denied he ordered his subordinate to shoot and kill Major General Sivakorn in a moment of anger for rebuffing a transfer request for his nephew, who's a policeman. And we can see from these related stories this gentleman has a lot of legal trouble ahead. And given the high profile of this story, I think this man's going to be made an example of. Police suspects face fresh charges over dinner party murder. Praween's riches under scrutiny. So a lot more twists and turns in that very sad story from last Wednesday as it develops and the investigation continues. Thank you for watching TNT today. Appreciate you dropping in. Let's go to some more stories. And this one from sports.yahoo.com. And it reports the UFC scraps Hussein Askabov versus Daniel Pineda after Askabov's arrest in Thailand. Following the news of his arrest in Thailand, the UFC has cancelled a fight featuring Hussein Askabov. According to a report in the Phuket News in Thailand, Askabov and his twin brother Kasan Askabov were arrested nearly a week ago in relation to an alleged kidnapping and robbery of an Italian man. Now, the story is horrific enough, but even worse, the story's been pretty much swept under the carpet by police here in Thailand. We'll get to that in just a moment. And the UFC, they say, is aware of the recent arrest and the allegations regarding Hussein Askabov. The organisation will continue to gather additional details regarding the incident. UFC will allow the legal process to play out before making any additional statements. However, his scheduled fight on October the 7th has been cancelled. So let's go to that Phuket News story from thephuket.news.com. Russian MMA fighter Hussein and twin brother arrested for kidnap, torture and extortion in Phuket. And the well-known MMA fighter Hussein Askabov and his twin brother Kasan have been arrested in connection with 3 Kazakh nationals forcing their way into an Italian man's villa at a resort in Chungtulay and holding him bound and gagged while beating him for information in an hours-long ordeal. So far, police or any other officials in Phuket have yet to publicly recognise the incident. And the press conference was held in response to a report by Al Jazeera reporting already long well-known problems of Russians working illegally and the arrival of violent crime by Russian nationals on the island, such as when a Kazakh national opened fire 4 times in broad daylight on a 44-year-old Russian businessman back on June the 7th. And some good news by Chris and the team there at thephuket.news.com. Let's check more about that media conference. Cowside English reporting officials dispute media coverage of the Russian takeover of Phuket. And Thai authorities are investigating claims that Russians are taking over Thailand's local businesses after Al Jazeera reported that Russian nationals have entered Phuket to engage in various businesses, including property purchases, tourism, ride-sharing apps, moonlighting, and competing for jobs with Thai citizens. Immigration authorities report that from January to August this year, a total of 2.5 million tourists visited Phuket, of which 487,000 were Russians, accounting for nearly 20% of arrivals in Phuket. Most Russian tourists visit Phuket for short-term stays. Only 9,275 of them have long-term visas and reside in the province, which is about 1.9% of the total. Well, that's 1.9% of the total of Phuket residents. Of course, that number varies wildly during the year. The island's very transitory when it comes to people moving in and out of the island for work and, of course, for tourism. And the police department's also provided statistics on the criminal activities of foreign nationals from January to August this year, which include 635 cases involving foreign nationals, of which 78 were Russian nationals, representing 12.28%. And then the head of Phuket Immigration confirmed that there is no clear presence of the Russian mafia. So there you go, a bit of a pushback from Phuket officials in the immigration department saying, no problem here on the island. So what do you think if you've visited the island recently or if you live in Phuket? What do you think about the original Al Jazeera article, which we spoke about last week, and the response from Phuket officials? And just before we move on, as you know, I've just finished renovating my first beach house, and that's up in Phangar, about 20 minutes north of Phuket, right on the beach. So if you'd like to have a look at that, there's a link in the description below. I look forward to hosting you sometime in the future. We move to this story, and it's from BCS News, bcs.news. 5 arrested in Thailand over $76 million crypto scam. The scam targets over 3,280 victims who believed they were investing in gold and cryptocurrencies. And 5 individuals have been arrested in Thailand for their involvement in a crypto scam, staggering losses to the equivalent of US $76 million. And the suspects include 4 Chinese nationals and 1 citizen from Laos. And it involves a fraudulent scheme revolved around a crypto investment platform, bchgloballtd.com, which duped at least 3,280 victims. Many victims reportedly invested their life savings or took out loans against their property. So just another one of these online scams. There seem to be so many of them these days, and the old adage, if you can't afford to lose it, don't invest it. Moving on to a report from thepatianews.com, AOT prepares to soft launch new Suvarnabhumi terminal. And this story originally a press release from the NNT. And the airports of Thailand is preparing to soft launch the Satellite 1 terminal at Suvarnabhumi International Airport on September the 28th, following a successful trial run. And during the trial, the airport simulated a full-scale operation with 180 mock passengers and their luggage to test various systems and operations, including aircraft handling, passenger transfers, baggage handling, and cargo services. I'm wondering where they got the 180 mock passengers. Were they from a casting agency, or did they get just airport staff on their day off? The soft opening period for the SAT1 terminal will last from September the 28th to October the 28th, during which it will be available to 3 airlines, Thai Air Asia X, Vietjet Air and Emirates. The new terminal is expected to become fully operational by December 2023, aiming to alleviate congestion at the main terminal. Then they tell us there are 28 new gates, including 8 designed for Code F aircraft like the double-decker A380 and 20 for Code E aircraft like Boeing 747s. Well, as far as I know, there's very few airlines flying the Boeing 747s anymore, and except for Emirates flying into Thailand with the big A380, I don't know of any other airlines flying into Thailand with that aircraft at the moment, and Thai Airways at the moment trying to sell all its big Airbus A380s. I was trying to find a photo of the new terminal. This appears to be about the only photo of the new terminal that we could find, and no sign of those 180 mock passengers. And that reported in the thepatianews.com, a media release from the NNT. During the last couple of days, the new government's been outlining its policy position, including this particular policy, this reported in bangkokpost.com, the government to pilot 20 baht flat rate city train fare over New Year. It's nice of them to use this lovely photo of one of the new purple trains. How do I know it's a purple line train? Well, because it's got purple seats. And they used that photo rather than using a photo like this, which I think is a bit more of a realistic situation in most of the BTS trains at the moment. The story says that a 20 baht flat fare will be piloted on the MRT Purple Line and the State Railway of Thailand's new Red Line within the next 3 months as a New Year's present to the public. This from the new Transport Minister. He announced the move in Parliament after he was asked to clarify whether a 20 baht flat rate would be practical. And the new Transport Minister insisted on keeping the flat rate policy as it was an opportunity to provide fairness for people, especially those trying to survive on lower incomes. So I get the feeling that this new government really wants to hit the ground running and we'll see some of their policies rolling out fairly quickly. To this story, and single bite of Thai dish can give you liver cancer. Well, that's scary enough, but it has been reported by ladbible.com, not by The Lancet. Now, I'm sure we all love a bit of pad thai, a hearty bowl of tom yum soup, and the nation's go-to, a Thai green curry chicken. But there's one particular dish from the famed cuisine that could be disastrous for your health. So much so that even just a single bite of the dish could end up giving you liver cancer. And the carcinogenic chow is so deadly it's believed to be responsible for the deaths of a staggering 20,000 people in Thailand every year. If that was true, I'm sure it would have been reported in local media. Maybe not. There it is. This is the dish that's apparently causing so much trouble, particularly for people living up in the Isan region. And the story goes on. It's known as koi pla, which is a plate of minced raw fish ground up with herbs, spices and lemon juice, and is eaten by millions of Thai people, but is particularly popular in one of the nation's poorest provinces, Isan. Now, it's not actually the fish that causes those who eat it to develop fatal liver cancer, but the parasitic flatworms or live flukes that live inside them. The parasites are native to freshwater fish in the Mekong region, leaving Isan to have the highest reported instance of cholangiocarcinoma, or bile duct cancer, in the world due to heavy consumption of the raw fish meal. And a Thai doctor, joined by scientists, doctors and anthropologists, have now spent 4 years testing villagers from the Isan region for the parasite. And using ultrasound machines and urine testing kits, the doctors found that as much as 80% of inhabitants from some communities were found to have ingested the deadly parasite. As I mentioned, this reported by ladbible.com. I haven't seen any local reports. Tell us if you've heard more about the potential problems with this dish. And if you've been up to the area or if you live in Isan, have you tried koi pla? That's the way we see most of the stories around Thailand today. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, and you can also check out my new beach house in the links below. Otherwise, we thank you for watching today on Wednesday, the 13th of September. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow.